Okay, so today we're going to do, every day we do reading, but right now we're going to do reading. We're going to do the vocabulary. I know last week we did the vocabulary the same day as high frequency words and the teacher read aloud, but I think we need to spend a little more time on vocabulary and give it its own day. It deserves its own day, right? So turn your reading book to page 154, and we're going to read Inside a Bakery and look at our different vocabulary words. So it says, have you ever stopped inside a bakery and smelled fresh bread baking? Have you wondered how bread is made? You'll find out more about what happens in a bakery in the next story. You'll even read 2 recipes for baking. So what is a recipe? What do you think a recipe is? Good, they're directions for making food. I'm sure you have recipes, or your mom or your dad has recipes at home. Some might even be family recipes that no one else has. I know we have them in my house. They're really good. Next paragraph, bakers prepare their dough and bake it early in the day, usually before sunrise, so that customers may have the freshest bread possible. So dough is what bread is before it's baked. It's a mixture of flour and salt and water and whatever else they want to put in it. And they knead it, and kneading is like massaging it with their hands, right? And letting it rise. So they put it in a warm place and they cover it with, in a bowl, and they cover it with like a towel. And the bread, because there's yeast in it, yeast is something that makes doughs rise and make it, that's why bread is fluffy when you cut into it. It's got those little holes, those little air pockets, that's the yeast. And so it will rise, and they'll do that a couple times so that it rises enough so that when they bake it, it's nice and fluffy and soft. And remember we talked about Passover, how they ate unleavened bread, which means bread made without yeast, and that's more like a cracker, as it's not soft and fluffy, they're hard and crisp. Okay, so they actually get up at probably they start work at 3 in the morning to get all their things made so that when people come at 6, it's done and they can get fresh bread for the day. And donuts and things like that, so they can get that stuff for breakfast. And a customer is somebody who buys things. So we've all been a customer, right? Because we've all bought things at the store. We haven't all been bakers, but we've all been customers. So that's another one of our vocabulary words, dough and customer. A bakery is a place where you go and buy breads and other things. We do have bakeries here. In the city, there's more stores that are just bakeries. But here in California, we have bakeries inside of grocery stores, big grocery stores. The ingredients may change, but the idea is the same. Everyone loves a treat from the bakery. So an ingredient is what you put into your mixture. Okay, it's the part of a mixture. It's the flour, it's the water, it's the salt, it's the yeast, it's the cinnamon if you're going to make cinnamon bread, that cinnamon swirl bread, or it's the raisins if you're going to make raisin bread. Or, yeah, I know probably most of you went, ooh, raisins. Raisins are good. Raisins get a bad name. Raisins are nature's candy. So, ingredient is another one of our words. And most cultures around the world eat breads or baked goods. Most all bread recipes use some sort of flour and water. The rest is up to the baker. So most cultures do eat bread. Remember I said bread is a staple. It's something that will fill you up, that will give you energy. So the breads in Mexico or Latin cultures are mainly tortillas. And the breads in the Middle Eastern are mainly the pita, it's like a round with a hole in the middle, or when you cut it, it's kind of hollow in the middle. So every culture has different breads. Not everybody has a loaf that is sliced. They come differently. I know where my ancestors are from, they make it out of, they use a lot of baking soda, and they use potato, and so that's how they make their bread. And their soda bread it's pretty good. It's pretty nummy. So you are going to look in your book for the definitions. If you have index cards, that's great. If you don't, use a piece of paper. It's okay. I don't care. A lot of you used just a piece of paper and wrote the word and then the definition, and that's perfect. Fine. You just need to write the definition for right now, and maybe we'll think of something else to do, like make a little story about a bakery or something. I don't know, but not right now. I'm just thinking out loud. So right now you're just going to write the word and the definition on a piece of paper or on index cards, and that's it. Okay? So that's your vocabulary for the day. And then, wait, that's not all your vocabulary. After you're done, you're going to open your book to page 94. Okay? And it's got your vocabulary words in there. And it says, select a word from the box to complete each group of words. So our words are bakery, dough, cultures, ingredients, customers, and recipes. A culture is a group of people who share the same customs, beliefs, music, food. So you can have a Hispanic culture, you can have an African American culture, you can have a Filipino culture, you can have an American culture, which is all of them wrapped up in one. You can have a European culture, you can have an Asian culture, you can have Northern European, and as to Southern European, you can have an Italian culture, an Irish culture, a French culture, a Canadian culture, all different groups of people. You can also have a culture in a religion. You can have a Catholic culture. You can have a Jewish culture. You can have a Hindu culture, a Buddhist culture. So it's just a group of people who share the same customs and beliefs, food, religion, music, clothing, dancing, anything like that, okay? So if we look at some of these words, we have shoppers, buyers. Well, what in here is going to go with shoppers and buyers? Very good. Customers is going to go in there. Very good. Customers, because they're about the same thing, right? A customer shops and a customer buys. Then, what I want you to look at, these two are the ones that usually kids kind of mess up a little bit. So we have eggs and sugar. Well, we can either have dough, recipes, or ingredients. What do you think eggs and sugar would go under? Ingredients. Very good. Those are ingredients. It's not a recipe. They're not doughs. Those are ingredients. And then underneath, we have brown bread, which I'm thinking is like wheat bread. I don't know. I've never heard of brown bread. And meatloaf, which has no bread connotation at it at all. I mean, there's some cracker in it, but meatloaf is basically a loaf made of meat that you eat with mashed potatoes. And it can be good if you make it right, and it can be if you don't make it right. So it's not my favorite, but that's okay. So what is brown bread and meatloaf? We've already used ingredients, so is it dough or are they recipes? Well, we know meatloaf has no dough in it at all, right? Meatloaf is ground beef mixed up with a lot of different ingredients, and it's cooked. Sometimes you put ketchup on it. Little hint to make it taste better, put some brown sugar in that ketchup, and ooh, it's good. So which one is it going to be? Dough or recipes? Think about it. Okay. And then we have shoe store and flower shop. Well, those are all places to buy things. What up here is a place to buy things? I don't know. What could it be? Okay. And then down here it says unscramble the vocabulary words. So you have 6 words up there, 6 problems. So I'm thinking whatever 2 words you don't use are going to be down here. Okay. And I would look at the letters that aren't commonly in a lot of the words. You'll be able to figure it out. Okay. So that's vocabulary. And we'll see you in a little bit for some math.